Hi everyone, this is Meredith Root, and welcome to the Afternoon Snack Podcast, brought to you by Tactic Nutrition.
Hi, I'm Alex Parker, owner of Tactic Nutrition, former lawyer, CrossFit Games athlete, turned health and fitness geek.
I'm also into health and nutrition, a more recent CrossFit Games athlete, co-owner of Tactic Nutrition, and former engineer. We are here to have fun, engaging conversation about some of our favorite topics, including nutrition, health, coaching, motivation, and of course, CrossFit.
Our goal is to give you something to think and talk about and hopefully make you laugh along the way.
And we're back. Hey, Alex.
Hey, seems like we were just here.
Well, we were about 26 hours ago, give or take. What day is it? It's day 3 of quarantine. What if we did a podcast every day?
I was just going to say that.
They could even be short. Like, yeah. Let's do it.
It'd be kind of awkward on the days that like we get in fights. And We've definitely done that. We've like planned to do a podcast and then we get into a fight and then it's like, okay,
podcast is canceled. Maybe we just should. Just like put headsets on.
Be fully transparent and be like, look, we're not on talking terms, so it might be a little awkward.
So we're going to do a whole podcast without talking to each other. That'd be funny. That'd be really funny. Okay. Keep that in mind. I sometimes think when couples are having a dumbass argument, and realistically, most arguments that you have are kind of dumb.
No.
Like not
every fight that we have is over something important.
Okay. I know it feels that way in the moment, but like, you know, the microwave being dirty is not actually important. I would file.
Or the time you bought like a $23 book.
Yeah. And then I got so mad that you were so mad that I threw it in the bathtub full of water. I was like,
it didn't tell me. So it was like after the fight, I saw it and it just brought me right back into the moment and like restarted the fight.
Like, oh, you think that this book is a waste of money? I'll show you what it actually looks like to waste money. That was like,
and I was like going to be like that person who like dried it out and was like, you read this.
You were going to read this book. I don't care if
the letters are smeared together.
That was a strong move by me. That felt really good. I mean, like, I don't have a book that I wanted to have, but I'll just buy it again later. It was worth it in the moment. That was me winning. That's what that was.
I'll give you that.
I won the fight. Yeah, but anyways, I think that
okay, well, wait. I need to the reason why I was upset she bought the book is because we had just bought an air conditioner, which like those things are expensive. So like I was already in the like anxiety like it was just, you know, a lot. And then like it was like the straw that broke the camel's back, which the straw was the book.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's like, but the air conditioner, it's like you have all these things like, oh, it's, you know, it's whatever it costs, $6,000. I don't know how much it cost. I think it was around that. Mm-hmm. But it's like a thing you know you have to buy. We've budgeted for it. We knew we were going to get it. It's like, why the anxiety? At the heart of anxiety.
Anytime money goes out of my bank account, I have anxiety.
Yeah, but that's because you tell yourself a lie. Because like at the heart of anxiety is a lie. And the lie you tell yourself about money is, I don't have any money. I spent $3,000 for my half of this air conditioner and now I don't have any money.
Okay, well, that fear, like we get this with our clients. It's like people don't want to let up because they worry that missing once is like it's a snowball effect. Like if I take this week off tracking, then I'm going to just turn into a person who doesn't care about their nutrition. Or if I miss a workout, that means I'm going to just become a person who misses workouts. Like I've been there.
Yeah.
And so with spending money, it's like, okay, I spend $3,000 so easily, then all of a sudden I'm spending $3,000 all the time and then I have no money.
I think that's fair. And there are people who do spend money like that. And there are people who struggle to exercise, but then that goes back to that's the argument on what, like, who are you? Like, how do you identify? Like, the fallacy in that case is not that you're going to run out of money or that you're going to stop exercising. The fallacy is that you're allowing that singular moment to impact the way that you see yourself. When the reality, if you take a step back and actually objectively assess your identity and the type of person that you are, you know you're the type of person who does not like just casually spend money, and or who eats out 6 times a week or skips workouts. Like, you know that that's true, but in the moment you don't know that's true, and that's where the anxiety comes from, because you're allowing the fallacy to impact your perception of your reality.
Thank you. I feel so much better.
Yeah, that's profound. You can write that down.
Yeah, thanks. I will take that into consideration next time you want to spend something, buy something.
Yeah. But anyways, what I was going to say is that whenever couples are having like a dumbass argument, which most arguments are dumb, wherever they like, this is like the best part about being in a relationship. You can start an argument over something like you overcooked the broccoli. But in 20 minutes, that argument is like, it's about the health of your relationship. And it's like, it's about you as a person. It's about...
Are you speaking from experience?
Yeah, I am. And the reason is...
To be fair, I've never started a fight over overcooked broccoli. Potentially undercooked.
Yes. Yeah. You did start a fight when I accidentally ate your broccoli. That was early on.
I was in a high stress environment at that moment.
But anyways, like, understanding that's kind of the pattern of arguments in relationships, which is that you get mad over one thing, and it literally, like, because I think to be in a relationship, you have to be willing to kind of like glaze over some things that bug you about the other person. Like,
see, I don't see it that way.
I don't know. You have to be able to let some things go. And
again, completely disagree. It's all about changing a person.
You have to be willing to lose. You have to give up trying to change who the person is. You have to be able to swallow your pride on occasion.
See, to me, being in a relationship is finding somebody willing to do all of those things so you don't have to.
Yeah, that's weird, because if that were the case, you would think that after 3.5, how long have we been together? 4 years? 4 years?
I think 4, yeah.
You would have, if it were possible to train a human being, you would have trained me to not buy a book right after an air conditioner.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so knowing that that's kind of the pattern of the way that adults in relationships can argue, I think that a safe word, like just something that you say, like, because you don't want to be like, look, like, because I don't have the capacity in those moments to step away and be like, look, like, I see how this could have annoyed you. I'm sorry for that. I also feel myself spiraling, and I feel like this is about to turn into something else. Like, and I would like to stop, and I would like cooler heads to prevail.
You know what? I think you have done that a couple times, and I think I was like, no.
I don't always have the ability to do that.
We're getting into this right now.
But
here, right now.
I do have the ability to be like, pineapples. Like, you just need a word that means that without you having to say it, because it's really hard to like, in those moments, step back and be the bigger
We'll give that a go.
person.
Give that a go. We'll make pineapples the safe word, and we'll see how my reaction is when you say it in the middle of an argument.
Well, I think we have to agree on a safe, like, what do you want the safe word to be?
I mean, I'm saying we can agree on it, and I still think I will abandon this plan in the moment.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go with pineapples.
Okay, we'll see how it goes.
And we'll report back on that. Speaking of shit that should have pissed me off, but I'm letting it go, can we maybe just talk about this haircut for the cat? Because that was like an abstract thing in my mind. And then I just get a picture of the cat, and she's had a hair augmentation. She's been altered from her original state. Her hair has been shortened in the pattern of a lion. So, why?
Well, when we go away, we drop Ivy off at a kitty kennel. We call it camp.
Okay, it's a pet resort.
It's a pet resort.
They do dogs.
Yeah. So, but she has a special cat area, of course, with all the other cats. And there are 2 cats there. There were 2 cats there when we went to go pick her up last time, who had that haircut. And they looked so adorable. So I'm like, I kind of want Ivy to have that haircut. So then I called around, like I did some research to see like where you could get it done. Basically I ended up just calling the pet resort and was like, well, who does these? Like, who does this? So she put me in touch with this woman, and then I had to book the appointment. It was like 2 weeks out. So I was like, I'll book it and then I'll decide if I want to do it. And then I kind of went back and forth, but I was definitely like asking you, like, if you think I should do it. And you were like, I mean, I don't know. But then Kat, one of our coaches, said she had done it to her cats before, or one of her cats before in the past. And she was like, they're so cute. It's fine. And then as the days were approaching, I started getting kind of nervous, like the same sort of nervous that I had when I cut my own hair off. But then I just went for it because I was really bored because you were gone.
So now Ivy is naked and cold, and she insists on being like she's kind of a clingy cat, but like she'll do her own thing. But now it's like 100% of the time she has to be on you.
Yeah, which secretly, not so secretly, I really enjoy.
Yeah. I think it's because she's a little cold. I don't know if that's the case, but
you have to admit it's pretty cute.
Yeah, I mean, it is cute. I don't really like seeing her butthole. Like I like long-haired cats because that area is shrouded in mystery.
Until she has diarrhea and it's all over her long hair.
Yeah, but that's not that frequent.
That's happened 3 times?
I think only twice.
Well, it happened 2 times in one day.
Okay, but like, are we counting the dingleberry? I'm not counting like multiple instances. I'm counting like periods of time.
Okay, I think twice.
Yeah. She is kind of cute, I guess. She's okay. She's just like a lot. I just thought there was like more there. I didn't realize she was quite so small. Because with her hair, she looks rather like chunky. But she's not. She's just a little tiny thing. Yeah. She's curled up in our long-haired blanket.
She's very slim.
Yep. Svelte.
She's faster now.
I swear she is, though. Like,
she is.
She gets around quicker. Low speed. No. Low drag, high speed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what I yeah, I don't know. It's like one of those things you like see when you see someone wearing an outfit and you're like, man, I really like that. And then you're like, I can never pull that off. It's kind of like that. But she's doing okay.
But she is pulling it off.
Yeah, I guess. I think her hair will be back in like September.
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 months.
Well, it'll be nice this summer when it gets hot. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways,
what are we talking about today?
Well, okay. So yesterday we had this whole, like our last podcast, it was supposed to be about something else, and then it ended up kind of being about nothing. But I don't know, I liked it. So we were gonna circle back with that topic, and that topic is, kind of the establishment of expectations, like across the board with performance, with aesthetics, with weight loss, with health, like with any kind of change, I guess, improvement, and kind of where people get that mixed up. So, I've been doing a lot of reading kind of more on the performance side of things, just about sport, and specifically a little more about running, because running is a sport that a lot of people start at a pretty young age. And I was
Young
listening.
age?
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of young runners.
Oh, okay.
And
there
so,
are also a lot of older runners.
well, I know, but so I was listening to. I have a friend from high school, and I've kind of just followed her throughout her career, and she was really, really good. She ran at UNC Chapel Hill, Team USA. Went to the Olympic trials a few times, and I think has been like trail runner of the year 3 times. Her name's Addie Bracey, and so she's kind of she has a master's in sports psychology, and she does, sports psychology counseling as a career, and she's been on some podcasts. So she was kind of talking about, you see this in running a lot, especially with younger girls, because girls don't really, sometimes don't really start developing until they're like 12 or 13. So, sometimes you get girls who run when they're 9, 10, 11, and they're quick, right? And then their body starts to change. They're going through puberty. All these changes happen, and now they're running slower. And so you kind of have to, as a coach, I guess, really manage that period of time, because it does tend to be temporary. But, they're using, they have expectations of themselves based on what they were doing 2 years ago. But it's not really fair to use that period of time and those performances as a reference point for their capability right now, because so much has changed. It'll probably take a few years to get that back. And that's kind of, you see that in sport a lot. And she was even saying, like Addie, she was like, I can't, I wouldn't be able to run a marathon and be happy with my effort if the only thing I compared it to was when I was running marathons in the Olympic trials. She's like, I'd never do it. I would actually never go out and run if all I was doing was comparing my times, my splits, and my paces to what I used to be able to do when I was doing Olympic running. And I think that's where people get really mixed up in sport is, they set expectations for themselves based on either what they used to be able to do, based on what they think other people can do, which is like kind of the worst reference point, I think, to use, is what you think someone else is capable of, because you don't actually know, especially using social media as that like an indicator of what people are doing. And I think this year's been kind of particularly bad for that, because the entire sport of CrossFit, but probably other sports too, a lot of races went virtual, triathlons went virtual. Like CrossFit isn't the only sport that pivoted online for the season. Kind of forget that. But because of that, there's just all this focus on people's Instagram and, what they're logging for workouts and what they're putting out there. You're only seeing what they're putting out there. It's a big assumption to make that that's even true. But more importantly, you're not seeing what they're not putting out there. But you do see what you don't put out there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You get down with that
idea.
idea.
Yeah, I've fallen into that trap. Every day almost.
Yeah.
Because, of course, I'm active on Instagram. I follow all those CrossFit Games athletes. I follow my friends, even our coach, Lindsay. We have a pretty competitive relationship. We're pretty close on a lot of workouts. And so when I open Instagram and I see her doing, 30 muscle-ups for time and whatever her time was in her recent Instagram post, 3 something, I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, I suck. I don't think I could do that. I don't know. I've never done that workout.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's really good. And it just makes me feel like, okay, well, she's better than me. I'm sure she's struggling in other areas. Mm-hmm. I don't want to put somebody else down to make myself feel better.
Yeah.
You just don't get the whole picture. And who cares what she can do 30 miles? Maybe if I use that information to better myself, I'm like, hey, actually, I want to focus on muscle ups and see if I can get close to that time.
Yeah. I think that's if you can use that to as a source of personal curiosity, mm-hmm. then for sure.
And use it as motivation to.
Yeah. If it makes you focus on what you might be able to do instead of what you think you can't do. But that's a hard mental shift to make, I think.
Yeah.
And a lot of people. But it's, yeah, then again, I talked about this yesterday, so I'm not going to harp on it, but last year for me, I think I was still super attached to the way I was in 2017, 2018, performance wise, it made it impossible to actually enjoy what I was doing. I was still doing it because I felt like I should be doing it, but I hated it. And it's because every day I would go into the gym, and whether it was true or not, and this is kind of the crazy thing about this psychology, and when you get into this sort of mental space, it's like you could actually go in the gym and have a really good day, and the numbers will show you that. Like you might actually do better on a workout than you would have 2 or 3 years ago, but you don't see it. Like you don't feel that way. You just assume that like 2017 you, 18 you would have done a better job. And so you don't even allow yourself to feel like success or enjoy that day or recognize that like you are still making progress in different areas. And it's really difficult to get yourself out of that. And I think it's like at like kind of coming to terms with why it is, like why do you do what you do, is helpful. Like I didn't start CrossFit to go to the CrossFit Games. That was never the goal. Like I started it because I love that type of training methodology, and it's interesting, and every day's different, and like it makes my body feel good, and it makes me like fitter, and I know it does. And so like sort of going back to the basics for a little while, removing attachment to outcome or personal expectation. That's the thing, like no one expected anything of me. I thought people expected, you know, and partially that's because a lot of people, you know, you do get asked like, oh, are you gonna try to make it back to the games? Are you competing? Like you do feel a little bit of pressure, but I don't think anyone has an expectation.
Yeah, I think it more comes from like a place of support.
Yeah.
But you interpret that as pressure.
Like, oh, they're only going to support me if I like am at an elite level.
Yeah. When we were on the Savon's podcast and he was like, Alex, are you going to try to qualify for the games? And I was like, I mean, I'll see. Like I'm doing my best with everything I have going on. My ultimate goal is like, obviously like it would be sweet to qualify for the games, but like first I have to qualify for semis. And like, you know, you guys all kind of rolled your eyes like, oh, she's just being modest, blah, blah, blah. And like, and then sure enough, I don't qualify for semis. Mm-hmm. And like, I thought of that. I was like, that's embarrassing. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sure Savon didn't even notice. And if he did, he was like, oh, too bad. Like, he doesn't actually care. No. Like in my head, I was like, God, that's embarrassing. Yeah. You know, like people think I'm good and then I don't even, but then it's like, who cares? No one. Yeah. I mean, maybe, but like not really. Yeah. Sometimes I think my clients care, but then I'm like, hey, like I missed check-ins on Friday. I was doing quarterfinals, and they're like, quarterfinals for what?
I know, right? That's like, oh, okay, that actually makes me feel better.
Like, okay. Like I kind of feel silly that, you know, yeah, they are keeping up when they've got their own lives and their own things to
Great Canadian Bake Off, of course. What else? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's so funny. That's so good.
It for sure happened. Yeah. I was like, oh, my back's really sore from that workout, like the open workout, assuming people know. But
they're
it's like,
oh, did you do a bunch of deadlifts or what'd you do? Like, yeah. Oh, nothing.
No one cares.
I always find it refreshing when I get to like talk to people who don't know about CrossFit. Mm-hmm. Because it's like we don't have to talk about the CrossFit season.
Yeah,
that's nice. Yeah,
I mean, so you get, we're talking more on like people who are competing at an elite level, like us or used to. But we hear this all the time from people who are doing it recreationally. CrossFit is one of those things, and this is why I love it so much, is it's measurable. So you're doing workouts, you're repeating workouts, and you can compare times, old times against like other people. It doesn't matter what level you're at. Like you go to a gym or you do an online blog programming, or you're, you know, part of, you know, the OPT community where you have multiple testers that everyone's kind of done. It's very easy to compare yourself. And, you know, we get people who are like, they go to CrossFit 4 or 5 times a week and they just do the class workouts, and you hear like, oh, I only snatched this, it was my max snatch day and I only PR'd by 5 pounds, or I can only snatch 145. It's like, I feel like I should be able to snatch like 170 by now. It's like, oh, you feel like you should be able to snatch 170. Why is that? And like, they don't like, oh, well, it's because I go to CrossFit 4 or 5 times a week. And it's like, okay, well, why? Like, what is,
Like, do you do any dedicated work with strength or Olympic lifting?
but like, why is why is, like, where do you get that number from?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
Like, I feel like I should be able to snatch 200 or my body weight by now. It's like, based on what? Oh, so-and-so at the gym can do it. Or, you know, it's like, you PR'd. Like, you know, take it for what it is.
Yeah.
You've got, like, yeah, you could dedicate your life to becoming a better Olympic lifter, but like, you're a 45-year-old dad who has a day job. Like,
yeah, take your wins.
what are you doing in CrossFit? Like, you're just doing it to feel good, to look good, you know.
Yeah.
The comparison, of course, is valuable, again, to motivate you. And that's why I always tell people, like, do CrossFit, because you can actually see improvements, and it's just great.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't understand the difference between potential and capacity. So I think, like, there are some people who look at themselves and they see they see their potential. They see that, like, they could do something, but they don't understand that what they're interpreting that as is capacity. So capacity is having potential and also meeting that potential, or moving towards meeting that potential. Like, I have the capacity to or the potential to run a 3:30 marathon or 3:20 marathon. I don't have the capacity to do it. Not right now.
Capacity meaning just time.
Yeah, like, there would have to
mental-
be so much effort put in that area to build capacity in it. Like, your potential as a human being is, like, it's not, I'm not going to say limitless, especially not like as an adult, but like, you can do a lot of things. But like, your capacity is limited by what you have time for and what you're willing to do with your effort. And so it's hard, like, when you see other people who are doing the things that you know that you are capable of but don't have the capacity to do, and thinking, like, well, if they can do it, why can't I do it? And I'm like, well, this person doesn't have a full-time job. They don't have kids. They sleep 10 hours a night. Like, yes, they're 45 years old. So are you. But like, what their life is completely different. It is like, it's so unfair to use other people as, you know, a reference point for,
maybe they're more athletic.
yeah, maybe
There's
they're
so
just
many
better.
different things. Speaking of, so I remember, not speaking of being athletic, speaking of, like, I should have or could have, or, you know, this was a lesson I learned when I was very young. I used to play competitive golf. My grandpa was a big golfer, and both my parents kind of played sports. Specifically, like, my dad played at a pretty high level, not golf, other things. But I remember finishing golf games, golf tournaments, and thinking, like, man, I could have shot a 76 if I didn't, you know, if I didn't have that double, or if I didn't hit it out of bounds on hole 10, or if whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I could have shot this. It would have been this. Like, oh, I should have just made that putt. And I think probably it was my grandpa who was like, shoulda, woulda, coulda. Like, don't look back and be like, you didn't shoot 74, you didn't shoot 76, you didn't shoot 9, whatever the score I thought, you know, would have been a good score had I not made a mistake. That's part of it. Like, your potential is only as, like, you're only as good as you are on a specific day. Just because you could have done something doesn't mean you should have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I could have done better in this workout had I not tripped on my double unders 10 times.
I could have stuck to my macros if not for this. It's like, well, you didn't. So what are we going to do moving forward? Like, are you going to go to the range and practice and try so that next time you don't hit it out of bounds, and then you can, you know, break 80 or whatever the number is? Okay, are we going to figure out how you can meal prep for this week so that you don't end up in the same place at the end of this week that you did last week?
Yeah, like, stop looking at your potential and start looking at what you're capable of doing.
What are the actionable items here?
Like, maybe prepping, like, all of your meals for the week is not something that you have the capacity to do. But maybe, like, prepping lunch for the first half of the week is. So let's just do that. Is it 100% what you want to do? No. Like, is it going to get you where you want to go, like, quickly? No. But it's like a hell of a lot better than trying to do something 100% and then getting frustrated and like doing something 0% the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And it's like, at least then you can experience progress and success. And like, it's sort of, it takes you out of that failure mindset and says, like, you know, I'm winning, even if what I'm winning at and what I'm making progress doing is less than what I set out to do initially.
Yeah.
And you can build on that.
Nutrition is one of those things, it seems easy. Like, it really does. Like, I should be able to do this. I just have to eat healthy. I just have to make healthy choices. I need to meal prep, blah, blah, blah. What people don't understand is, like, for somebody who's never done that, who's never meal prepped, who's never even thought about, like, what is a clean food? What is a macro? That's kind of a lot to ask of somebody. Like, they have to change up sometimes their whole, like, routine, their habits. Some people need to, like, learn how to cook, shop. Like, some people go to the grocery store without a list. Even that is like, okay, we need to learn how to do that. But when somebody walks into and they expect to just be able to do it all in right away, and it's kind of like, we give people macros, we give people instructions, and then they're like, well, wait, like, this is too hard. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, that's totally fine. Let's back it up and focus on this. But you need to have that conversation. Some people, I think, get into that problem and they're like, it's too hard, I can't do it. That happens in nutrition. But then you take sport, and it does happen to some degree. Somebody walks into a CrossFit gym having never worked out, or they've gone for jogs or runs, and they're not going to be like, oh yeah, I should be able to do all that and snatch that, or be able to, like, snatch, and then all of a sudden I'll I'll look like I can snatch 200 pounds and be able to snatch 200 pounds, like, from nothing. It seems like they can wrap their head around the fact that, like, first they need to, like, they'll listen to the coach who's like, okay, first we need to do the air squat.
Yeah.
Now this is a barbell, like, put it over your head and squat like that and see how that feels.
Oh, that's,
like, we have to learn
shit. Okay, let's switch to a front squat.
Okay, like,
then.
You can't squat below parallel. Like, we need to back things up.
Yeah.
And yeah, some people quit and they're like, it's too hard, I don't want to do this. Fair enough.
But, like, no one's getting pissed off that they can't do butterfly pull-ups.
And they're not standing there being like, I should be able to do this. Like, says who?
Yeah.
Like, why not? If you eventually want to do butterfly pull-ups, it might take you 6 months, but, like, let's start here and build on that. Very hard to convince people in nutrition.
I think it's because everybody eats and they know they eat. So, like, well, it can't be that hard. It's something that I do every day. Mm-hmm. I just have to completely overhaul it. Like, what's so difficult about that? But they put eating, they're like, it's as basic as walking, as breathing. It's mm-hmm. something that you do. So, like, I have obviously the capacity to eat. So then I also have the capacity to eat in this new way. But we know from, like, what we've discussed in the past, how difficult it is because of the food environment that we live in, all the fun tricks that your brain wants to play on you, and you start modifying what goes into your body, and, like, the way that we emotionally attach to food. And so,
well, not to mention the fact that we are eating the entire day. Mm-hmm. So everything else in your life is impacting your eating. Like, whether you're at work, your entire environment impacts your eating. Who you're with,
yeah.
Whether you're taking care of kids, how you slept, hunger cue. Like, there's so many factors. When you walk into a gym, you're there for an hour to work out. You can focus on that.
Like, go home and
be done with
over. And maybe you eat your face off.
So there is a pretty big. I think people just need to, like. It's. I will admit, when I started nutrition coaching, I struggled with this. I didn't realize that it was so hard. I was like, what's so hard about it? Actually, I was like, it's not that hard. I think I probably told clients that, like, what are you doing? Like, get it together.
It's just food.
It's just prepare your food, log it into your app, and then eat it. But then I started reading, like, behavior change books. That one that I've talked about before, motivational interviewing. I think they start out the book that they say, like, nutrition seems easy on the surface, but it's very much like figure skating. Like, somebody can walk onto the ice who's a figure skater and do twists and turns and jumps, like breathing. It's so easy for them. But if you've never skated before, like,
You're going to need it. Like
you can look at that person whose figure's going to be like, wow, that looks easy enough. I could do that. But then you get on the ice, you put skates on, you're like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
And I think, well, that metaphor really hit home. And then just dealing with people, like, more experience. I was like, okay, this is actually, like, hard.
Yeah.
We gotta back it up. I need to adjust my expectations of people and figure out how best I can help them take small baby steps.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, we definitely get people, I know I have, who come in and it's just aces from day one.
Yeah.
And so it's just like boom, 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 boom. And they just, like, all they really need to be done, like, need to be told is what to do and a little bit of why. And they're like, okay, got it. And, like, it's not even perfection. It's just consistency from day one. And, they chip away at it. And I think it's, like, while I love those people, and I obviously, like, I love working with those people, it's very rewarding. Those people make it really hard for everybody else. Because imagine you're someone who, wants to lose weight or improve their performance or improve their body composition or whatever, just, like, fix their diet. And they have this friend who's like, oh, you know what? Like, I worked with these guys at Tactic. They did awesome. Like, I lost 20 pounds. I gained a bunch of muscle. My gym performance improved. It was great. I was with them for 6 months. And their person's like, sweet. Yeah. I mean, like, you look awesome. I really want to do that. And so, this person coming in on the recommendation of their friend signs up with us, and they can't get it together for one reason or the other. So they're looking at their friend and they're like, well, how is this possible that this person, is doing the same air quotes, because it's not the same. They're doing the same thing that I'm doing. And, they made all this progress in 6 months and I haven't made any progress in 2. And I think it's hard because there's a bit of I call it a shakeout period with people. And sometimes that shakeout period is 1 week. If you're a guy, sometimes it can be really short, 1 week. Usually for women, a really short shakeout period where you're kind of figuring out where they are is 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes it's 2 months. And that period of time is, like, sort of getting a handle on, normal eating patterns. What is a good intake? Like, let's take the pressure off a calorie deficit and specific macros and just build some good habits. Sometimes it takes a lot of time, and it can be frustrating if you have the expectation that in 2 months you should be, down 10 pounds, 15 pounds, but instead you've lost maybe 1 pound and you're still struggling every single day to build these habits that need to be in place to see long-term progress. Because that's the thing, right? When you're with a company like us, or practitioners who are like us, we're not going to sacrifice the long-term goal for short-term gratification. Like, we have a way of doing things, and it's a specific way, and it's slow, but it means at the end of, 6 months, a year, like, you're very well on your way, or, like, hopefully, right? Stick around and at least make progress towards some of this stuff. Like, you're very well on your way to making lasting changes, not changes that are going to reverse. And I think that there are some coaches out there who, they understand where their business comes from. They want to make the client happy. So they're like, all right, let's just make some drastic changes. Let's tank your calories. Like, anyone can lose weight on 800 calories a day. But you can't eat 800 calories a day for a year. So it's like getting people to understand that and adjust their expectations of the process and find new things to focus on is, like, super important. But sometimes people just, like, they get so stuck on one singular metric of progress instead of, like, at the end of a week, if I have a really great week with someone and, it's maybe finally they've prepped all of their lunches, they've at least planned all of their dinners, like, they're eating breakfast, like, they're doing, like, are they perfect meals? No. But it's like, it's a big step in the right direction. That feel like, to me, I'm like, yes, this was a great week. And then they get to the end of the week, like, hey, how's your week? Like, you've done great with the meal prep. And they're like, well, I didn't lose any weight. And all of that work, it's just like gone. All because people have they struggle to see like what they did well this week. Like all of that is erased because they didn't see like, they didn't see the scale move. And it's like, well, why would I put in all that effort on meal prepping if the scale's not even going to move? But I'm like, it's been a week. It's been a week. And I think that's really common, especially with people who are seeking out weight loss or like body composition change, because of the way that success stories are presented in media sources.
Mm-hmm. There are moments with certain clients where I'm like, it would be so easy if I could just give them a meal plan.
Mm-hmm.
Like that would be so easy for me and for them. But instead, because a meal plan's not going to get them anywhere, are they going to eat this exact meal plan for the rest of their life? Never learn how to actually like
do anything,
plan meals, hit macros, eat like appropriately. Like what happens if they need to like go on vacation and they, they can't prepare this food. So no, it's like, we're going to take the time, talk about breakfast. What do you like to eat? How can we make that work? Like, here's a list of protein sources. Which one do you want to like maybe try to add in at breakfast?
Yeah.
2 days later, how did that go? How was it eating cottage cheese at breakfast? It's actually good. I think I'm going to keep that. Or, hey, let's try to implement like a banana at breakfast. Okay, let's do that. I didn't like the banana. Okay, let's switch it up. Like that's how simple it is sometimes.
Yeah.
And like you just guide people and you let people like bounce ideas off of you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it is difficult sometimes. I'm like, you know what? Let's just fast for 2 days so that you can see the scale move, because that's all they want to see.
Yeah.
It's tough. You have to convince them. You have to do a lot of work convincing them that is not like, the long game is a long game, and that's the only game there is really in health and nutrition.
Yeah. I think
fitness.
It's, expectations generally are like, it's an inappropriate attachment to like, to things, people, or outcomes that you wish you had control over, but you don't.
Yeah.
And like the attachment to outcome is a funny one to me, because like your outcome depends 100% on your commitment to the process. And that's the same for any goal. That's the same for a performance goal. That's the same for a health goal, weight loss goal, body recomposition goal. That's 100% the case always. And, people get really attached to what they want and what they want the outcome to be, but they're not even like close to being as attached to what is going to get them there. What are you going to do? What needs to be done? That's a funny one to me. And like it's so frustrating to have expectations like that. And I've been there. I mean, you have, for sure. I think everybody has at some point gotten very attached to the idea of something, the idea of an outcome, the idea of an experience. But you're not as committed to like the process and the work that it takes to get there. So if people would have expectations and commit to the effort and let go of the outcome, you'd be like way more likely to get the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And then some. Like you might be selling yourself short and not even realizing it. That's the problem with goals. Like what if you can actually achieve way more than you thought you could achieve, and like you're sort of self-handicapping and limiting simply by putting an outcome in place.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thought.
One thing that I was thinking about a lot the last couple of weeks is changing your body, especially your body composition. Like there's just weight loss, which is like losing preferably fat. Your scale drops. The weight on your body weight decreases. And we did a post on this. And then there's leaning out, which can mean fat loss and weight loss, but it can also mean in some circumstances, weight gain or weight maintenance, where you're basically just increasing muscle mass and decreasing fat mass, leading to a different body composition. So you have somebody who's 130 pounds who looks completely different than another person who looks 130 pounds. That is a difference in body composition. We get a lot of people who want to lean out, who don't have really weight to lose. Like, you can still lose weight, but it's not going to actually change their body composition. So somebody who doesn't have any muscle mass can go from 130 pounds to 115 pounds and really look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Like, they look the same. They're just kind of a smaller version. Their fat mass is about the same. They probably lose a little bit more muscle, or whatever muscle they have is, because they're not training properly. So we get clients who come to us, and there's not a lot of people, but they're totally committed to changing their nutrition. And they're under the impression that if they change their nutrition and they eat more protein, or they change their meal timing, don't eat fat around workouts, add some supplements in, track their macros, all these little things, increase food quality, that they're going to change their body composition. But they don't want to change their fitness routine or commit to lifting weights or going to the gym for longer different times. So we get a lot like, I want to look like I work out and eat healthy. And to me, I'm like, okay, I kind of think I know what you're getting at here, but you're not. Some people, they just need to keep doing what they're doing to get there. It just takes time. Some people just aren't doing what they need to do to get there. So they expect, I think, to look like somebody who can snatch, do Fran in sub 3 minutes, or snatch their body weight, or run 5K in 23 minutes, or sub 20 even, and do all these things. They want to look like they can do that without actually being able to do that. So they're doing Peloton or yoga or lifting weights in their garage, like light weights in their garage, or doing, certain workout routines that don't actually lead to muscle like growth or strength improvements, but expect to look like a person who can do all of this other stuff. Like, where does that expectation come from?
Well, I think it comes from like
the media again.
Yeah, because you do have all the, and this is starting to exist in the CrossFit space too, but certainly in the past, you have you have people like Jillian Michaels who they're selling fitness programs that are very lightweight, body weight perhaps, definitely no barbells, and so the easy connection to make is like, oh, well, Jillian Michaels looks like this program must also, like, this program must be what I need to do to look like Jillian Michaels. But like, Jillian Michaels is doing strength and conditioning. Like, don't get it twisted.
She's not doing equipment-free at-home workouts and looking like that.
She touches a barbell a lot. And that's a lot of these, like, sort of light equipment. Like, that's, they might not explicitly say this is, oh, I do my program to look this way, but it's implied. And so I think that's kind of where the mix-up comes.
Or some of these people might have a history doing a completely different style of training. CrossFit, which leads to, or powerlifting, which leads to a lot of muscle growth, strength growth, improvements, and transition into more of a lighter bodybuilding, lower intensity type workout.
Yeah.
So they have the muscle mass from before, and they're just maintaining it.
Yes.
They haven't built up from zero using 10-pound dumbbells.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, you work out, but like, are you doing the right things? Maybe not.
Yeah. Like, are you like
creating intelligence? People who look like CrossFit Games athletes look like CrossFit Games athletes because they train a ton and they've been training for 10 years.
Yeah.
They don't look like CrossFit Games athletes because they work hard in the gym. Like, they do something that feels hard and they eat healthy. Like, it doesn't work like that. You have to take a really critical look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
And be like, is this going to get me there? Ask somebody. Be like, is this going to get me there? If not, change it up. Like, if you don't want to do CrossFit, or you don't want to power lift or do compound movements or train at a high intensity, then that's fine. But don't hire a nutrition coach and expect them to get you magical results because you're tracking macros all of a sudden. Yeah, like, of course you can make improvements through diet. Absolutely. That whole thing, like, abs are made in the kitchen, false. False. Like,
well, it's definitely, abs are made in the gym. They're revealed in the kitchen.
Yes.
That's how that goes.
Yeah.
But I've seen plenty of people who eat super clean.
But if they don't have abs.
Yeah, I'm like, you don't have the prerequisite raw materials to have what you're going for. And that's fine. It's a difficult conversation to have. But it's like, you know, when you ask someone, it's like, hey, like, what is your training like? And they're like, well, you know, I do light weights, I do resistance training. You know, hit, whatever. And it's like, okay, well, how many times a week do you train at or near, like, approaching failure where you can no longer move a weight? And they're like, well, what do you mean? And it's like, all right, never mind. You answered my question.
Yeah.
And it's
nothing against them.
No, it's not. But it's people to understand how to, like, what it means to progressively overload, like, with regards to strength training. Like, what do you actually have to do? What kind of stimulus do you have to provide for your body to be like, you know what? I should probably put on some muscle. Because that's what's going on, right? Like, muscle is very metabolically costly to build. Like, your body does not want muscle. It wants, like, a minimum amount. We as humans did not evolve to have massive amounts of muscle. Like, our ancestors were not back squatting. They weren't. And so, like, the reason for that is muscle mass, like, it requires calories to maintain. It requires calories to build, it requires calories to maintain. Like, it is not evolutionarily beneficial to walk around with a lot of muscle mass. So that means you have to provide a stimulus that's so great that your body overrides the systems that it has in place to keep your lean body mass low, especially as a female, and say, you know what, in order for us to be safe, I need to put on muscle. Because that's what it's doing. Muscle building is your body, it's an evolutionary response to prevent you from breaking your bones. That's it. But, like, that's not just going to happen because you're doing some 10-pound bicep curls.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Like, for example, Carrie Pierce did not get abs by doing her ab program.
I know. Don't even get me started on the 30-day ab
I'm
programs.
like, okay, really? 30-day abs? Like, I love that. I love people coming to us. I'm like, I'm doing this. I'm going to change my nutrition. I want to have abs. I'm like, okay, so you should do that ab program. You should definitely do nutrition because that's definitely king. But you also, to get abs, you also have to do 30 toes to bar unbroken. So do whatever you need to do to get there.
Yeah.
Oh, and you also have to, like, overhead squat 200 pounds, like, all these things that actually make all of the exercises that actually build a six pack that gets you to those results. And by the way, like, it's possible you still might not have abs after that.
Yeah.
Because of your genetics.
Yeah.
But who cares? Like, yeah, everybody wants abs. I get that. And I'm sitting here talking like I have abs, so I'm sure people are like, what an insensitive bitch. But there are so many things that you're doing in your pursuit to get abs, like just the process, like eating healthy, training hard, doing core exercises that protect your back. All of these things offer so many other benefits besides an actual six pack that you reveal on the beach.
Yeah. Well, not to mention, like, people who do CrossFit and want abs, like, it's not even a good training methodology for that. Like, you're like, if you're chasing performance, you're like, yeah, I want to perform well in the gym. I want to, like, qualify for quarterfinals or maybe, like, eventually a semifinal event. Like, that's sweet. That's a really good goal. As soon as you start prioritizing your abs, you got to let that goal go, because aesthetics and performance, at least, like, from a leanness perspective,
especially for females.
They are at odds because like this type of training, high intensity training, but definitely like elite CrossFit training, it jacks up so many systems in the body. Like your stress hormones are just, they're through the roof. Like that's going to make you bloat. That creates inflammation. It, like, for a lot of people, not even just women, just people in general, cortisone encourages the storage of belly fat. And your sleeping is probably not awesome. Your recovery is the bare minimum of what it has to be to not get injured. Like it's and on top of that, you're not even doing specific movements and training that like encourages aesthetic development. But nobody gives a shit about that. They're like, no, I just want, Tia has abs. Alex Parker has abs.
Okay, so then what's the alternative? Because like if you can't do CrossFit because it creates too much stress, but you also can't do 30-day abs, what do you do?
A lower volume, lower intensity strength and conditioning program.
Just not like, you're not doing a WOD.
No,
crushing yourself every single day.
You're not burying yourself in the gym every day. You're not there for 6 hours. So you're still
doing, you can still do CrossFit. It just has to be a little bit more, like just go to a good gym.
Yeah.
Or find somebody who's a good
programmer. Or
programmer.
get individualized programming. Yeah. That's actually like intelligently designed.
Yeah, like showing up to the gym and doing like 120 toes to bar when like you can't do toes to bar. It's like, okay, why are you here? I remember like you can scale it, of course, but at the same time it's like, well, why not just do something with 40 toes to bar in a workout, something that's actually manageable, where it's like you're able to work on toes to bar. It's designed for you, or it's a little bit more appropriate. I don't know.
I remember
it's not going to crush your abs and give you rhabdo or like not allow you to train for 3 days.
There was always a group of people at my old gym, and it was like clockwork. Every March, April, spring, early spring would roll around, and all of a sudden you just see people like kind of hanging out on the GHDs, and it's like, and they're just doing GHD sit-ups every single day, like 50 GHD sit-ups. 100.
Well, it gives me a headache just thinking about it.
That's like, what are you doing? But they like, I'm like, that's not how you do it. That's gonna like torch your back is what that's gonna do. And like the fact that they were back every year doing the same bullshit, I'm like, why would you not just maybe figure out a different approach? Because this one isn't working.
Yeah. So I guess to summarize, there are different paths to achieving the same goal, depending on who you are and where you're at. But take a good hard look at what you're actually doing. It might seem like hard or hard enough to you, but like you have to look critically at it, and before you say, what I'm doing should be yielding these results, without any idea of like whether or not that's a valid statement or a valid expectation. Like there are a ton of people who are doing all of the right things, and it's just going to take time. And it's like, okay, you are doing awesome. Let's just stay here and keep going.
Yeah. But
there are some people, and like I tell my clients this, I'm like, let me see your programming. Like, this is not good programming. Or like, okay, is this what you're willing to do? And they're like, this is all I want to do. And I'm like, okay, cool. Just so you know, like, this isn't really going to like build a ton of muscle. It's like, okay, let's adjust your expectations.
Yeah.
But it's the people who continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result, which is like a result that's just, to be frank, unattainable based on what you're doing.
Yep.
So I don't want to be negative here. It's just, we're just trying to be realistic. And like, we wanted to get this podcast out because we do hear, oh, I should, or I feel like this, I feel like I should be that. At this point, it's been 3 months. Why don't I? All of these statements, and the answer is like, because you're who you are and you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're different than Joe Schmo. You're different than your friend who's doing this.
It's like, as long as you're making like small sustainable changes in your day-to-day life that are going to continue to move you down that path, like that's good. That's better than doing something extreme And then the next year having to do the same extreme shit because it worked the first time. Like, it didn't work the first time.
Yeah. I think part of that goes to having a somebody you trust. So if somebody doesn't trust me, then that's fair. They don't trust that I'm actually going to try to get them to their results and I'm knowledgeable enough to get them there. If they don't trust that, then they should certainly find somebody else that they trust.
Yeah.
Or do what they think is best. But to sit there and argue with me and say, like, I'm doing everything that you're telling me to do, or in nutrition, and I'm still not looking like this, well, maybe, like, there's another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just check your expectations, I guess. And
Yeah.
stop comparing yourself to your old self or somebody else.
I love when people complain about getting old. They're like, oh, they get bummed out. They're not able to do the things, or they don't look the way they did 5 years ago. I'm like, you are as young as you are ever going to be right now.
When does it, like, okay, at what point? I guess it depends. That's always the answer. At what point do your expectations have to be like, okay, I just need to maintain?
I think that happens.
Oh, for sure. Like, and not to take a shot at my mom or my dad. They're like, my mom's 62, my dad's 70. And like for them, and they know it, they're like, I got to maintain. Like, my mom, like, I got to maintain this muscle. And she works her ass off. Like, tracks her food every day, works out 6 days a week, very hard, like high intensity, has a coach. And she's like, she's not expecting to like get abs or tone her arms or change her body. She's like, I want to keep my body where it's at for as long as possible. Because like, it is moving in a direction that like, if I stop, then like.
Yeah, like, and I'm sure like you probably feel some kind of way when like gravity really starts to take hold. Like, I'm not quite there yet. I have like eye wrinkles. But like so far gravity hasn't taken my face. And I feel like that's going to be the first to go because I got small boobies. But yeah, I'm sure like you when you look in the mirror, you can't look in the mirror and be like, "Oh, I don't see myself," or I wish I looked 5 years younger, cuz you're not going to. But like, it's a privilege to wake up every day and be able to look into a mirror. Like, you gotta roll with what you got. And like, if you take the stance like your mom, where you don't have any expectations, like, imagine how good it actually feels to make progress in the gym and PR something, or really surprise yourself with what you're able to do. Like, you can celebrate that versus being like, well, it's great, but what if I had started this like 10 years ago?
I hear that a lot.
If I had just started this 10 years ago, like, what is the point of saying that? What is the point of even putting that into the universe? Because that's not your reality.
Totally.
It was never your reality. It's never gonna be your reality. So stop looking backwards. Like, you have what is directly in front of you. It's the only thing that you're promised, because you're definitely not promised a future. So like, why do people worry so much about that shit? Bugs me.
I don't know. I wonder like how we're going to be when we're older. I feel like I'm going to be like my mom, or just like, you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah, like,
it is life. What it is. And like, if you're lucky, like me, you have a shining personality that's going to overcome any kind of sagging. Just like my mom. I think that's how she gets through.
Contagious optimism.
Yeah. But yeah, I like, obviously we aren't at that point, so it's easy for us to sit here and say like, so what if you're a little saggy, or you have some extra skin, or like, you're not gonna like, you're getting softer instead of harder. Like,
I bought some face cream earlier.
You've been talking about getting a better face routine.
I mean,
going.
like, I am 32. Like, really, we should probably start spending a little money on like, higher end lotions and things. So I got some with vitamin C, and it has like kind of a citrus smell to it. It's like there's the thing about these facial lotions.
I didn't even want to ask how much they cost.
Come in a glass jar, and it's small. It's probably I don't know, the size of maybe like a lemon. and it's round.
It's
and
like a lime. It's small.
Yeah. So the first thing that's important is that it's, yeah, maybe lime or lemon size. The cap that screws off is 1/2 of the vessel. So it's like, all right, there goes 50% of the potential volume. And
Okay, all of these things that you're saying, when you told me you bought that and I saw it, I was like, what a waste.
So then you open it up and you're like, all right, so I have my half lemon size worth of facial cream. And you're like, what the hell, man? Because then you realize it's got this big ass ridge in it. And it's like the actual reservoir.
And the glass is like an inch thick.
Yeah, because the actual reservoir for the lotion is like, it's like
basically like a thimble worth.
the size. It's like the size of a cherry. I'm like, okay. Okay. What is this?
I'm not going to ask you how much this is because I don't want to know with my spending anxiety. But I also don't want to ask you right now because I don't want to embarrass you.
Oh, it was only like, I actually bought the cheaper one. It was like $40. But I'm telling you, there's some shit in Sephora that's like $80. And I'm like, do you put it on with a Q-tip? Like, how do you make this last?
I would be, see, maybe I just need to do the research and see if that stuff actually works. I'm sure it does to some degree. I'm sure there's some science in
I
there,
mean, like, I actually do like the way it makes my skin feel, but I found the
you don't look
packaging
any better.
hilarious. Thank you, ass. It's not about how I look, it's how I feel.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's got the placebo effect going, which is, yeah, but anyways, I thought the container was really funny. And I was like, man, they got me. And it came in a box, which felt redundant. But anyways. Yeah, so that's kind of it. I don't have any closing statements for this one. Sorry. Do you?
Yeah, I
mean, you gave some a second ago.
Yeah, I think I don't want people to leave here and think like it's hopeless.
Oh, it's not hopeless.
Like, we see transformations, for lack of a better word, all the time.
But it's not even transformations. It's like literal life change.
Oh, yeah. Like, not physical. Like, everything.
It's like when people come in and it's actually kind of funny. When someone comes in and they're like, oh, I want to have abs by May or something. And it's like, I kind of get the impression that they're like a specific type of person. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'll just change your life instead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I've got somebody who's like, every time we talk, he's just like so stoked that we've gone down this path that he didn't even know was here.
Yeah.
Because like, not only is he like on his way, like, is he going to have abs by May? No, we're in May, but he's making tons more progress in the gym. And like, we don't talk about that shit anymore. And it's like, he didn't even realize that this possibility existed because he came in with such a singular focus. And it's like, okay, dude, let's blow this thing wide open and actually see what we can accomplish here. And it's like, it's cool when you can get someone to buy into the all encompassing process. Cause like his life is going to be different forever. And I'm not taking credit. I'm not the one doing the work. He had to be open-minded to even allow me to have this conversation with him. Cause some people don't they only want to talk about what they want to talk about. And it's like, all right, I mean, I can help you with that, but like, it could be more. And so, yeah, I fucking love that. It makes it really a lot more rewarding for me. It's not about me. It's about the people. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of like, I mean, you think about some of your best clients that you've had for a year, like just think about them a year ago. And it's kind of crazy to be like, wow, this person really has like completely overhauled their entire life in a way that they probably weren't even expecting. And that's kind of the cool part.
Yeah. I love when someone's been with me for like a year, even 6 months, and they're like, you know what? I'm good. And I'm like, I love when I'm like, you are good. I'm happy to see you go.
Yeah.
Like, go spend your money somewhere else.
Yeah.
On face cream.
You got a budget for it.
It's just like, it is cool when people do change their whole lifestyle. And I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess there are a lot of facets to change and a lot of determining factors to your progress. But I guess the way to actually progress is to look at yourself, and where you're at in the moment and where you can go based on what your capacity is.
Yeah, and get
And
rid of
shoot for that.
expectation.
Yeah.
Expectation really leads to nothing but frustration. So if you can get rid of that, then you can really have success.
I had a client, I was going to say this earlier and then I forgot, who recently got the vaccine. She's struggled to lose some weight, but she's still at it and just seeing a ton of other results in other areas. And the other day she had gotten the vaccine. She was like, my arm is killing me. It's so sore. And then a couple of days later, she goes, you know what's crazy? I was taking painkillers for my arm. And when I went into my medicine cabinet, I realized I hadn't had to take a painkiller since I like overhauled my nutrition.
Yeah.
She's like, I used to take like Advil all the time. It's like, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I love hearing that. Like, really cool. And like, that is huge. Like, a lot of people walk around with like achy joints or pain, and they change the nutrition and it helps a ton.
Yeah.
And that's just one example that isn't reflected in the mirror or on the scale. So that's a good closing story.
Yeah. I love that.
We'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, thanks for listening again. We hope you enjoyed it, and we will talk to you again soon.